Future Hockey Hall of Famer Chara hung up the skates after 24 NHL seasons with 4 teams, 1,880 regular season and playoff games, the Stanley Cup with the 2011 Bruins, a Norris Trophy, plus a finalist 5 other times, 7-time member of the year-end All-Star teams. He signed the ceremonial one-day contract to retire as a Bruin. The only defenseman to play more than him, Chris Chelios. And I mean, we've talked about it before, the biggest free agent signing, certainly in Bruins history and quite likely NHL history, considering how much he changed the progression of the franchise. He brought the toughness back. He brought back the culpability. And there's no doubt his number 33 will go up to the rafters with another 6'9" guy who wore number 33 at the Garden. But let's go to you, Whit. I know you played against him a little bit, from remembrances you might have against Chara, or playing with Chara against them.
Nothing very in particular. I remember him fighting George Larocque at center ice, I think twice in one game when I was on the Penguins. But no one else like him. Just an absolute machine in every sense of the word. When I think of him, it's kind of like, I guess, different because you think of the Stanley Cups and everything. But my first vision will forever be Brian McCabe. It's like getting thrown around. Brian McCabe was a big, strong, tough motherfucker. Zdeno Chara was literally lifting him up and down like Wyatt was lifting up Liam up and down this weekend. Like, there's no sort of in what world is another NHLer literally tossing around somebody like a legitimate rag doll? But for me, Chara is like such evidence of what true hard work and determination does, because I've said this before, Merles knows, I watched an AHL All-Star game he was in. He was the worst player. I don't even know how he was in the AHL All-Star game. And he was so obsessed with proving people wrong, and he got moved to Ottawa. He was working out. I talked to super agent Matt Cater, our buddy, Zdeno Chara's agent, who let's help us out. Maybe get down and sit down for Big Z. We would fly anywhere he wants us to be to sit down with this guy. But Cater's telling me this guy got to Ottawa. He's working out 3 times a day. He's going to the rink. He's working out before practice. He's working out after practice. And he's back there after dinner time getting another workout in, because he was obsessed with proving people wrong and being as good as he could ever get to be. And I think that when you look back at his career, RA, maybe you wrote it to the group, but who do you compare him to? It's maybe Chris Pronger a little, but like, I think just the amount of, I would say Chara fought a lot more, right? I mean, Pronger didn't really have to, and neither did Z, but he was such a machine. And for as long as he played, I think the toughest guy in the league. Tell me if I'm wrong. I don't know. Like, everyone would talk about the toughest guys in the league, and then the conversation would go, doing it, oh, 20, besides 30. Big Z. Like, he wouldn't even, they're like, oh, besides Big Z, he doesn't count. So it was just like, and getting to the Bruins and changing the entire culture and what had gone on there for so long, and he was immediately given the C, right, RA?
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
you
right sign as a free agent and you're just given the C. It's like, that's how dominant he was when he went over. Looking back, Ottawa chose Wade Redden over him. A crazy move, but Wade Redden was an all-star at the time. So it's just it's a career that will probably never be matched, because I don't think you'll see somebody that big and strong and tough and that good with the puck and that good on his feet for the size of him ever again.
Yeah, especially for when he was coming up. I would imagine, like, even now, given that like skating is such a strength, where, you know, early on,
get a chance now, maybe.
Right, he looked like Bambi, and you know, there was physically he was this giant, but in hockey it's just like, you know, you look like a giraffe out there. But you always go back to the relentless work ethic and what got him to there. And like, even as his career progressed, like, you know, when he was later years in Ottawa, and then when he got to Boston, like, he was, you know, on the power play, putting up points because he was able to handle all of it. But as everything progressed and other guys came in, were more offensive, he had no problem taking a smaller role where it was more 5-on-5 shutdown, blocking shots, penalty killing, even to the point where last year, like, you know, I know he couldn't move around much and he was getting as old as he was, but just, you know, that leadership he provided in the Islanders locker room, the fact that even last year got back to the fighting days where that's where he felt he could contribute. A guy who had played over 1,500 games in the National Hockey League, won a Stanley Cup, won a Norris, had nothing else to prove, was okay as a teammate, resorting himself back down to that 5th, 6th guy. Even if he wasn't in the lineup, wasn't going to bitch, he'd be the first guy in the gym, rubbing off on all those other guys in the organization. So just from like top to bottom, work ethic, how humble, how well he worked in the community, and like what he meant to that organization everywhere he went, whether it was Ottawa, whether it was Boston, whether it was the Islanders, and where was he quickly? Washington as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It's first ballot. Most regular season games ever played by a defenseman, which is even crazier that Chelios played over 3 seasons of playoff hockey throughout his career. So Chelios is actually lower on the regular season games, but just an outstanding fucking career, man. And I actually asked RA, I said, what do you say in his speech retirement thing? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he was the type of guy who'd want to get in a management position right away. And you know, because he's such a workaholic, but it was nice to hear him say he's going to kick back and relax and enjoy some family time. He's the opposite of Brady, basically.
Yeah, Boston's his home. He says he's going to spend some time with the kids, take it easy. And the Bruins say, hey, whenever you want to talk about a potential front office job, hit us up. But, you know, I don't think he's in any sort of major hurry for that. Funny, interesting note, of course, everything has to make fun of the Toronto Maple Leafs on the internet. There are currently no longer any NHL players that the Leafs have beaten the playoffs now that Chara is out.
The curse is removed.
There you go. Amazing.
There we go.
Ready for our run, baby.
Leafs took a beating.
And
a couple other things about Chara that had come out, like maybe these stories have been out there prior, but I just didn't remember seeing them. But Matt Brown is a kid who in 2010 was paralyzed. He's from Norwood, Massachusetts. He was 15. He was 15 years old at the time. And he put out a tweet that after he got home from the hospital, Chara came over unannounced, and his whole high school team was over there, and he took pictures with everyone, and like just that type of guy where I think the kid said he knew life was way more than just hockey. And I got a real kick out of Brad Marchand's quotes about him. I think at the beginning of training camp or whenever the media talked to him after Z announced it. And he talked about how he was out for a month with an injury. He took a real estate course. He learned how to speak 5 or 6 different languages. He was reading books all the time. So he was one of those guys. And I think his quote ends up saying he wasn't trying to just improve as a hockey player. Like, he was trying to improve as a human being. And it sounds like cliche, but as you retire and you realize there is so much more to life than the game, it makes total sense why somebody as smart as Chara realizes while he's playing to get ahead of that and to always be improving yourself as a person, not just as a player, even when all the pressure and your entire livelihood is put on you as a hockey player. So just a guy who thinks so outside the box. And like you hear for years, he had like 1 cappuccino a summer as his dessert. I'd love to interview this guy because I've heard so many different, it's like William Wallace. He killed 11 men with like lightning bolts coming out of his arsenal.
I think it was a glass of wine when he won a cup.
Yeah.
Glass of wine when
he wasn't a big boozer.
William Wallace killed 50 men.
Congratulations. I mean, and we didn't even mention, talk about getting cocked. Keith Yandel announces retirement. And then Chara and Subban do it 7 minutes later. It's like, could Keith not get 1 day?
Seriously, but going from a project, I guess that's the difference between him and Pronger, I guess I'd say. Pronger was a high draft pick. Chara was a project, worked at his game, and now, you know, he's going to the Hall of Fame too. So just a testament to a great guy who busted his ass and achieved the heights of his career. So kudos to Z, and congrats on his retirement. Merles, did you have anything
I got a fun fact. I was such a pigeon. I took like 6 minor penalties in my NHL days, and one of them was high sticking against Chara.
Oh my God.
Like
that
biggest
is such a Merle fun fact.
Yeah. Tallest guy in NHL history, and I get a high sticking mate.
You couldn't even reach him with your stick. I don't even know. He must have been leaning over.
Embarrassing.